Hello everyone, I'm Luis from LuisRevere.com. Here coming you to do another podcast episode. And in this episode I'm gonna be talking about something specific. It's not the regular podcast where I go and review films that I've seen. I wanted to go into kind of a nostalgic trip here with anyone who wants to come along with me. I don't know, Monday, I think it was Monday. I was I don't even know how I got there, but I started remembering these TV shows um, that I used to see growing up, and uh, and this is not a knock on technology because if I'm being honest, I love the fact that if I want to see a TV show, I can see it on my phone, and I don't have to depend on getting to the TV. But at the same time, I was thinking about it, and it's just like that thing with Blockbuster. I mean, now you can have a movie, you can rent it through Amazon, iTunes. Um, but and at the first time it's so new and cool and great, and then you get to miss going to the video club and kind of seeing the case and renting the film and all that process. Or at least I do. I mean, I remember those Fridays going to Blockbusters, man. Those Fridays were great, and the store was full, and you had to fight to get the new release. Uh, you had to be there, I guess. But the same thing happens with these TV shows, because back then, um, I mean, you get an episode weekly, which we're going back to that some, thankfully, with Disney Plus, especially because they are not. I mean, they don't throw the whole season at the same time. You have to watch them week by week, and that's cool because um, when you see it all in a row, the hype of the show is less because you have less time to talk about it. You have less time to think about what's going to happen in the next episode, and that's exactly how it was before. And the other thing that I really felt nostalgic about is because I was starting to think as I was growing up how it wasn't only me with these shows. I mean, my mother, my sister. I mean, we were a tight unit, and we used to see most of these shows together, which adds a lot of value, a lot of memories, and obviously not every show we saw together because some that I liked, my sister might not like it, and vice versa. But the most of them, I remember that we all saw it and we all liked it, we all enjoyed it, and I think that changed because now, you know, I'm very impatient, so I'm not gonna wait to be in the same room with my sister to watch, for example, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because I'm gonna wake up early and I'm gonna see it on my phone because I can see it at any time. Back then, we knew at 9 o'clock, for example, we had 90210, so we all got to the TV, saw the episode, laughed, talked about it, and I mean, we still do. I mean, thankfully, something never changed. Me and my sister, we were watching this mini series about the band Menudo, and I remember every time it ended, we would call each other and have a laugh and all that. So it's not completely lost. I'm just thinking about how at that time we all got all together in front of the television set. And for this podcast, I wrote some of the shows that I remember. I mean, some of them I haven't seen in years, so I don't have memories of the details. But I wanted to do like a rundown of some of the shows that I grew up with, just to share them with you. And if you want to join me on this nostalgic trip and comment, whether on Facebook or YouTube when I upload the video on YouTube, comment your shows, what shows you grew up with, if they're not the same as the ones I mentioned. Um, and I have to say, not all the shows, some of the shows that I mentioned, I mean, they kind of have the same theme and maybe are a little cheesy or whatever, but what can I say? I loved them growing up, and if I saw them today, I think I still would enjoy them. So, of course, when I want to start with the I don't know. I'm not gonna go by genre. I'm just gonna go with the list as it goes down. It's not a it's a very varied list. It's going to have all sorts of genres, but I want here we go anyway. Now, one show that I remember saw a lot when I was growing up, of course, was Punky Brewster. And Punky Brewster it was revived in the Peacock streaming service. So if you never saw it, I'm sure that if you saw the new Punky Brewster reboot or continuation, I think you maybe started to see the original show because I think it's available on the Peacock. But I remember Punky. I mean, we used to see it on the local TV stations, and um, I remember the show. This is one episode which I never forgot, which was the episode where Sherry, uh, they were playing hide and seek, and she actually hid in a working refrigerator, and she was cold. I don't know, for some reason that episode has always stuck in my mind. But Punky Brewster, like I said, this is one that I remember I saw it. I haven't seen it since, like other shows that I've seen reruns constantly through the years, so that I know them. But I do remember enjoying it, along with Different Strokes. Those two shows, they played a lot on the local stations, of course dubbed in Spanish, and I remember really enjoying them. So that's I mentioned two already. Um, but Different Strokes was not on my list, even though I did like that one. So continuing on, I have to mention that another show, which is a family show, Growing Pains. Growing Pains is a great TV show. I think all the characters are great. Of course, Adam Thicke, who plays the father, Joanna Kearns. I don't remember. I remember the kids' names: Ben, Mike, and Carol. Of course, the father was, I think it was, they were the Seavers. Well, I forgot the father's name also, but it was a family. She was a reporter, was a psychiatrist. He was working at home to kind of like watch for the kids. Of course, Mike, played by Kirk Cameron, he was the goofy, kind of a mischief little kid. Ben was the small, but the littlest one until they got another baby sister in later seasons. Um, I love the show. I love the. I think I wish I could see it again. I think it was available for some time on Amazon Prime, and I did see a few seasons, but they were not in order. So, but I love the show. I remember uh, watching it a lot in reruns. Now they don't have reruns, uh, or well, then they don't have that one on reruns anymore. And a young Leo DiCaprio made an appearance on Growing Pains as an adopted kid. Mike ended up adopting Luke, which is the character Leonardo DiCaprio played. And it's funny because I hated that character. And me and my sister used to make fun of Leo. And now he's my favorite actor of this generation. And I think he's on my top list of best actors. Who would have known? All right, so continuing on. Full House. I mean, I think everybody knows that show. The twins who were the big sisters of Elizabeth Olsen, of course, the Scarlet Witch. It was a fun show. It was a little corny at times, and I hated Joey, the character, but the rest of the characters were good. I mean, Uncle Jesse, the situations. It was a good family-friendly show. Um, who that is still fun today. Uh, so moving on, this show, there was. Uh, I've never been one to actually go out a lot. So I remember Fridays, ABC, I think it was, had this thing called TGIF, which meant Thank God It's Friday, and it had a block of shows. Uh, and I remember that I think it was one Friday when me and my sister just got glued to the TV, and we loved my show. One of my favorite shows to this day is Boy Meets World, and it was part of the TGIF thing. I loved the comedy of it. I loved the story. It had it was silly, but it was dramatic. It had one of the greatest romances on TV, Corey and Topanga, Sean and Corey. Uh, it was a great show. From Ben, I think Ben Savage. It was, I don't know, maybe 10 years old. I don't know at what age they started, but it was a great show. And to this day, I mean, when I saw Girl Meets World, I loved it because of the episodes that dealt with the Boy Meets World characters. So it's one of the amazing show. I saw it a few, when they brought all these shows on Hulu and then on Disney Plus. Um, Man, I love Boy Meets World, and it brings a lot of memories. I mean, that show is just so great. And another show was part of the TGIF was Family Matters. Family Matters was a family show. This black family, he was a cop. I think he had three children, or four, no, three children. And I kind of loved that show up until a point when they started to get too goofy with Steve. I don't like a show when suddenly a character breaks out, and I don't mind it. I like Steve Urkel. He made me laugh, but the show became about him only, and it was about the family itself, and then it became just centered on what Steve would do for Laura, which was nice, which was okay, but it got a point to when it was ridiculous. I think maybe he wanted to play another character and not be that nerd for forever. Maybe that's why they came up with this machine where he became Stefan, and I don't know. But the first seasons, I think they were really good stories. They were funny. It was a warm family show. But then it became a little too complicated with the whole changing machine. He turned into Bruce Lee and all sort of things. So yeah, Family Matters. And one of my favorite shows from the TGIF were Step by Step. Step by Step was a show about these divorced people, Frank and Carol, who they meet and they get married without telling their children. And when they come back, they have to blend. He has three children. She has three, so they have to blend all those kids, and they don't like each other at first. And that's the fun of it, how they managed to blend that crazy family. It lasted for I think 7 years, and I really loved. It was a little bit raunchier in terms of the Frank and Carol relationship. I mean, they were shown more affectionate, and I think there was a change in all those family type films where they showed a caring and loving parents, but not in the same way. And I loved it. I loved that show. I love the characters, and through all the seasons, there was not a bad season for me. Of course, it's a cheesy show. It has his shows about when this one wants to sing and all that, but it was the shows of the time. I think they're available at Hulu, and I got to see them again a few years back, which I I loved. Another show that I used to like is the Hogan Family, and the Hogan Family started as Valerie, but I started enjoying it in the second season. I think she left the show, and the show became the Hogan Family with an aunt coming in to take the place of Valerie, the mother figure. It was their aunt, because the father asked his sister to come in and help with the three kids they had. They had Jason Bateman was the oldest, and they had two twins, Mark, and I don't remember the other kid's name was Mark, and Mark and the other guy. I don't remember the name, but it had the same thing, family show, but it was fun. I think it had good chemistry between Sandy and the kids, and I think it was a good show. Um, of course, growing up, I have to admit, I saw Saved by the Bell. Now, Saved by the Bell is one of those weird shows because that show, when you look at it now, it has no continuity. Uh, it's really, but what can I say? I still like the show. I still like the characters. I like the reboot. It wasn't perfect, but I liked it. Seeing all those Zach Morris again, Kelly, and all that. And I really enjoyed when it comes to Saved by the Bell. I enjoyed the college series, which only lasted for a season, because I think they went too aggressive and put it on the weeks against tougher shows. I don't know, but I did enjoy the college years. It was different from Saved by the Bell. It had better continuity. But Saved by the Bell is a silly show, but it's fun. It's like I said, it's it's a classic. I mean, it was made for us. When I was in the 80s and 90s, I was a teenager, so it was made for us. Um, Another show that I remember is Hanging with Mr. Cooper. This show was also part of TGI Friday. It was Mr. Cooper was this basketball coach, and he lived with a cousin and a roommate that he was in love with, Vanessa. And again, just a situation comedy, just his in the school with the students and at his house and all this situation. It was a nice show. The character is a little bit arrogant at times, but it's the character, so you forgive him a little bit. Um, this show was along with Saved by the Bell was another Saturday morning show. Was the California Dreams. Um, I remember that show. Like I said, it's a goofy show, goofy characters about this they lived in California. They had a band and they played at this place called Sharky, uh, and they were just a band trying to make it. Uh, I don't know. I think it was a fun show. I kind of was seeing it just the other days on YouTube. They had the episodes available, and I still enjoy it. You know, very much a show of the times, aimed at teenagers, and obviously, when you enjoy it now, you enjoy it more for the nostalgic factor than saying it was a masterpiece. But this next show is different. This next show that I remember seeing a lot uh, in the 90s, especially, it was called Friends. This is a masterpiece, people. Friends was a different show. It was about friends living in New York. Lasted 10 years. Funny characters, funny stories. I think only season 10 was the only season that I could say, meh. And the only storyline that I didn't like was when Joey was in love with Rachel. But the rest of the show, I mean, it's funny. The characters are perfect together. I mean, no, you kind of like all the characters. Um, so Friends, of course, is one of the biggest shows ever, and I remember seeing it right until the end. Of course, uh, when it ended, I think it was 2000 or something. Well, The Fresh Prince of Bel Air, another show. This one I remember seeing it again in the local stations. Of course, um, classic show. I'm seeing it. I'm kind of rewatching it on the HBO Max app. Of course, this was the vehicle for Will Smith as an actor because he was already a singer. Uh, Now, this next show was this one was on Sundays on ABC, and it was the New Adventures of Lois and Clark. Now, this show was different because yes, it was about Superman, but it was Superman was kind of like the side character, and the main story was about Lois and Clark and how they come together, how they relate, how they fell in love, and all that. And I love that show. Terry Hatcher and Dean Cain, I loved them together. Um, it's sad because by the end, yes, the storylines get a little bit more wacky. But I like the direction the show is going. I like Dean Cain as Superman. I laughed. I love the characters, and I love the stories, especially the first three seasons. And I remember Sunday. I think Sunday there was another show that played on Sundays, and I used to see this one, and I don't remember the other one. But my mother and my sister, I think they saw the other one, even though they liked this one too. And this one played Sundays. Um, but yeah, the New Adventures of Lois and Clark, and I'm starting to see the new show Superman and Lois, and it's a good show. I need to be fair, but I just doesn't feel the same. These two they had such a great chemistry. Uh, that they just made the show so good. Another show that I remember when I was growing up was Remington Steele. Now this one is kind of a detective-like, and it starred Pierce Brosnan. And it was a good show. This one I don't remember details because honestly, I haven't seen it since. But it was a great show. I remember really enjoying it. Uh, Another show, The Wonder Years. Now this one I'm putting it, but I have to be honest. When the show was airing in its original run, I remember me and my sister hating the character of Fred Savage's character in The Wonder Years, and really hating the show. We didn't like it. Now, as I'm older and I kind of see the show and I relate to the character looking back, I kind of have to say that I've grown to like the show, and the ones that I've seen, because I'm kind of also trying to see it again, are moving episodes that I relate now, about memories, friendships, and all that. And it was a good acted show. I mean, it was not a comedy per se. Maybe at that time, maybe all I wanted to do was comedy, comedy, comedy. But it was a. I mean, I don't think it was intended to be funny per se. Even though I think it was headed towards that, or aimed at that. But to me, it's more of a dramatic piece, and now I can appreciate it a little bit more than what I did before. Um, I'm gonna mention a few now quickly because I think I'm taking quite a while, and I don't want to make this an hour video. But I remember 21 Jump Street with Johnny Depp, The A Team. That was a fun little show. Knight Rider, Family Ties, with Michael J. Fox. Uh, Before he was Barney, he was Doogie Howser. Of course, I'm talking about uh, Robert, Robert Patrick Harris. Who's the Boss was also a good show, and Married with Children. Now, Married with Children is one of the most funny shows I have seen, and I don't. They were made at the perfect time because if they were made today, that show could not last an episode because it was irreverent. It made fun of everyone. I mean, it was the total opposite of all the shows like Full House. Um, Al Bundy is one of the best characters on TV. Bud, uh, his sister Kelly, and of course Peggy and the neighbors. My God, this show was perfect. I mean, yes, it's irreverent. You're gonna get offended, but you also can laugh if you choose to. And I mean, I just remember seeing this on Fox, and it was just so outrageous. And to this day, it's just so fun, so funny. So if you want to see a funny show, understanding what you're gonna see, uh, highly recommend it. Of course, when I was growing up, it was a time for very great animated shows, and I have to mention The Simpsons, especially the first three seasons. I have very recollections of the stories, the Halloween episodes. The CD they made was actually my first CD. Uh, that was my first CD. I remember I got it on Christmas, along with the Christmas episode on VHS. Memories. Um, it was a good show. I mean, it's been on for 30 years, so I think they must have got it to the point where the episodes were not as good anymore. But the first seasons, I really enjoyed it, and I have a lot of memories of it. Um, I think they played on Sundays. I think. Uh, and another great animated show, the Batman animated series. I actually saw two episodes today on HBO Max, and I loved. I mean, to me, this is the perfect Batman. I mean, it is done with the classic animation style with the big scores. Mark Hamill playing the Joker, Kevin Conroy as Batman. Is This is the Dark series, and the characters are great. Um, this to me is one of the best Batman related thing that I've seen. Of course, he has amazing films, but that animated series is just such an amazing series. And of course, I remember the X-Men, the animated series, and the Spider-Man they played on Fox. Thundercats, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Transformers, G.I. Joe. Uh, I even remember they were. I mean, before they played Save by the Bell and all that. I mean, they play. I used to wake up early because I used to see Game Pro, Conan the Animated Adventures. For some reason, I love that show. I love Conan, and I used to wake up. That played at 6:30 a.m. And I used to wake up every Saturday, and I remember the block was that Game Pro, which was a show about games. Then came Conan, then came Ghostbusters, the animated series, Beetlejuice, the animated series, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Gem for a while. There was a show about the New Kids on the Block, which was a caused many fights with my sister because I didn't want to see that, but she loved the new kids. So it was. I mean, we laugh now, but it was intense. Um, of, I left out two shows. Baywatch. I don't want to go into why I watched it. No, they're just kidding. The first seasons, the stories were good. Yes, I'm not gonna deny the whole Pamela Anderson and all that, but the first seasons, the stories were not bad. After fifth, the stories got a little bit more ridiculous, and I think that's when I think the show kind of like became just eye candy. But before that, it had the eye candy, but it had good stories. At least I started watching them on Hulu, and I was enjoying them. And of course, Beverly Hills 90210 for me was a big show. Um, we didn't have Fox at that time, and we had a friend who taped us everything of Fox, like Batman and all that, and that's how we watched it. He would give us the tape, and if he couldn't see it for some reason, then he would come in and see it with us, which was a great arrangement because cable didn't have Fox at the beginning, and he had a satellite, and that's how we were able uh, to watch these shows. Um, so yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of shows that I haven't mentioned that I remember seeing. I don't know. Everybody Loves Raymond. Oh, but that's another category, which is a category I'm going to go into now. I'm gonna now. In recent years, there have been a few shows that, yes, I've seen them streamed. Well, not all of them, but most of them. Like I have to mention Weeds. Weeds is a weird show about this widow who becomes a drug dealer just to maintain the lifestyle they had while her husband was alive. She has two kids, and she becomes like this big drug dealer. And the show is really wacky, really crazy. But for some reason, you fall in love with these characters, so you know are bad guys. But I mean, I remember I saw this all the episodes in a month's time, and when it ended, I mean, I just cried. I don't know. I was saying, but why are you crying for these drug dealers? But it was such a good show, and the song they used at the end, knowing that they were separating and all the characters and whatever, it just made it very moving. Seventh Heaven, this one I watched on TV, especially with my mom. Mom and I like this one, and so Everybody Loves Raymond. Um, but in recent years, my favorite shows actually have been Parenthood. Parenthood, I saw it on Netflix. They took it out now, but that's where I saw it, and I have seen it 5 times already because I think to me it's one of the best shows that I've seen. I think it's honest, it's funny, has a lot of drama, it's moving, has great acting. I just love that show. I mean, I could see it again. I love the characters. Ray Romano, it's in the show for the third season up. Another show that I started seeing streaming was Blue Bloods. Of course, Blue Bloods still airing on CBS, but I've seen the first. I started seeing it on Netflix, and I've seen Cop Show before, but this one I think is the best. And I like it not because of the police thing, it's more to me about the Reagan family and how they are in different positions. They're in the same place, and the sister is a lawyer and all that. And of course, I have to mention Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai, when it moved to Netflix and I started seeing it, I thought to myself, I didn't think I would like it that much, but man, what a good show. I love the story and what they did with this famous characters. So basically, that's kind of like going through my past on television shows and kind of going through mentioning a few of the shows that I'm seeing now on streaming. Of course, WandaVision, The Falcon. I'm looking forward to Loki and all that. But these shows, some of them, because of the past, they hold a special place, and The ones that are recent also I have enjoyed, and I have them in a very special place. So that would be the show for this week. Hopefully, I'm gonna try to be seeing Mortal Kombat on Friday and see what else I can see and review a few films in the next podcast. So take care. God bless. Good night, or have a good day, whatever you hear it.